morning and welcome to Trail Grazers Bugging Out. So we're just ending a several day stay up here, and Dave and Sarah were up here last week without us. We had other commitments and we couldn't come, and one of the things that they did was that they shot a couple of clips of some explorations that they did on a couple of places around the property. And so we're going to continue that today. So you'll see first there are two clips, and then I'm going to show you one thing right now, and then Dave is due to come up any time now, and I think we're going to go look at one or two more places before we close out this video.
All right, here's a series we can do about exploring the property. So here it looks like there is an old horse barn, and this thing is huge. I mean, you can see there's even fencing outside. Some of it has gone into disarray, but this thing is, I don't know, 300 feet long. The owner is mainly in this property for the water rights, and there's a family who runs cattle on the property, but this is more set up for a horse program or a horse breeding thing, and they're just not interested in doing the horses. But there'd be some cool extra purpose that we could make of this huge area. This is the horse barn. Some of that fencing outside has gone into disarray, but there's still water. Yeah, I hear Daisy's caller. There she is. I am back in the power generation building, whatever we want to call it. On the other side of this wall is the solar charge controller. So this right here, that is the propane line that came in. If we wanted to have a dual fuel generator, we could have it in this room. It looks like once upon a time there was a flood in here, but we could have a generator in here and it could hook up most of this stuff. This was old solar stuff. I'm not even sure what this thing is. Power supply, there we go. Looks like maybe some old military stuff. Anyway, so here we are in what we would call the generator room, and that nice big water pipe coming through. So here's some more electrical panels. These are that is our water turbine right there. That is actually generate when we need it. We can kick that on and have some surplus power, some extra power. But I will be doing a video on that shortly.
So here is one little thing I want to add to this series of clips on explorations, and it's just a few feet from the cabin. I discovered this, I think, last week or so when the propane guys were here and I needed to get up out of the way. I moved up this hill, and this is what I found. Look at that conglomerate. I've never seen anything like it. And I don't know if it is natural or, man-made. I have no idea. It just seemed like quite an anomaly, but it is certainly a conglomerate of some kind. And I wish I knew more about geology. I recognize the rocks that are normally around here, even though I don't know what they might be labeled as, but I've never seen anything like this. Well, that is until yesterday. And as we were driving up to the top of the ridge to get some connectivity to check our messages, coming back down right at the first gate to the property, off to the side, there's another one that looks very, very similar to this. So I have no idea. Have no idea how they were formed, if in the natural or if they were brought in, but I'm going to be on the lookout for more like this to see what I can figure out. And then I have a friend at the university who's a geologist, and I'll send him pictures and we'll see if we can identify it and if he knows how common they are. So that's my little exploration. So we are in the Max with Dave and Sarah. There's Dave right there, and there's Sarah and Daisy. And we're off to do some more exploration, so we'll see what we can find.
All right, we're here at the Bunk House, and Dave is going to go ahead and give us some history of it. We came through some of the different fields, and this is what it looks like. So, Dave, you're on.
Oh, this was part of the original bunk house, and I'm not sure how many years ago, maybe 20 years ago, 15 years ago, there was a fire that came through, and it was, the fire was fought by the actual owners, and they were able to save this bunkhouse up here, the buildings over here, like the power generation room or whatever it is. All those buildings were saved, but unfortunately, this one caught fire and they lost this building.
So it looks like it had a basement and then maybe a
Single story?
ground level, and then the chimney was,
Yeah, sticking out.
yeah.
That chimney looks pretty sketchy right now, though.
What?
The chimney looks pretty sketchy right now. It's almost leaning a little bit. It
Yeah.
almost needs to be
stand in the
pushed in.
way.
Yeah.
Yeah, really.
Well, how did all of this wood get here?
That's a good question, because it sure doesn't look like it can be natural. So I don't know if it was going to be turned into a, let's just fill it with stuff and bury it and call it good.
You know what? If we get to be here longer term, it would make a really nice root cellar to block off part of it, clean it out, and put a roof over the top, and we'd have a root cellar right
Yeah.
here.
Well, and it's kind of back in here. It looks like that was maybe an old root cellar.
Oh,
That's all underground there.
let's go peek in that one.
Hanger. Not sure what it is.
Oh, this is interesting.
Maybe water hose. Looks like a hot water heater, maybe.
Do you think
Yeah,
if we
probably.
walked over to the chimney and just gave it a push, it would fall off?
Yeah, there's a possibility
Yeah,
of that.
That is true.
Oh, I don't think I'll be doing that.
There's an old mangled gas line there. Yeah, that's a big cholla.
Wow,
Let's see if we can get a shot of that.
that has longer spines than most choyas do, but look, that is, wow, that is fantastic.
Wow.
Yeah, the rodents love to grab that cholla and use it around their nests to protect other things from getting into
Is
that.
that right?
Yeah.
We didn't find any of those in the Viking when they cleaned that messy up.
Well, they'd have to carry that inside. These are more like they'll create their nests even in the prickly pears and then just put a whole bunch of cholla around it.
Dave, what's this old building? Do you have any idea?
It was just, I think, part of this building. This might have been its power generation area, because I mean, it looks like the old telephone pole, an old transformer. It looks like they used to do some power stuff over here. May have been an old pump house. There's a lot of plumbing parts here. An old hand line.
Look at all these nuts that have been cracked. Hey, Jim,
Yeah.
get a picture of here. Look at all these nuts that have been cracked. Those look like pecans.
They do,
There's not a pecan tree around here, is there?
unless somebody had pecans.
Somewhere.
Although on the ground all over the place. Yeah, those are pecans. So,
It's warm enough to be the climate is warm enough here to be a pecan.
I don't see a pecan tree around any place.
Yeah, this is all really old electrical stuff in there.
Yeah,
This might be.
that's a big pecan tree.
Yeah, I can see them on there.
Oh, they are on that one.
This is a pecan tree.
Yeah.
Oh, for heaven's sake.
That's special.
I know that the guys running the cattle, they call this area the orchard. So maybe these all used to be some sort of trees.
Wow.
Well, now that's a great discovery. Now we got pecans.
Don't pecans take a male and a female, a pollinator? Yeah, there's something on this tree.
Yeah, there are pecans all over the place.
How can we get
Does that look like pecans, Dave?
Oh, that's another pear.
Oh, it's another pear?
Yep.
Wow. It does look like pears, doesn't it?
It's not as happy as the one over there, but
Yeah.
there's a few pears on it.
We need to get water. Get all those suckers off the trunk. Yeah.
There's some, looks like some wild raspberry or strawberry here. Raspberry. I think they're raspberry, blackberry, something. They're all on this bank right here.
Oh my goodness. Of course, the animals will get to them before we do.
Yeah, just the amount of wood that's around here.
It's incredible. But the little pear tree, another one.
Yeah, it looks like all these are suckers of that tree. That thing is just huge.
That is a big tree. Look at the trunk of it.
Yeah, I was just doing
Yeah, it's a
that.
cottonwood.
I said, look at the trunk of it, and I turned back and you were just doing that.
Yeah. Wow.
That's a huge old tree.
Yeah. Definitely some old trees.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
I do that.
You okay?
Gun
Come on.
when gun life overflowed,
Yeah.
you know,
Wow.
washed out everything.
Wow. What a tree.
Cool.
Yeah, really.
Here's another tree.
Okay.
Pears or apples. There's some of the fruit.
Those are apples.
Yeah, that's what David thought too. And the leaves don't quite look like a pear tree.
Yeah.
So I think Jim thinks they're apples as well.
We've got one here also.
And more over here. More fruit. That also looks like apples.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Looks like apples. They don't look like the one in the
So I think we've got apple and pear and pecans, not bad.
There's some grapevines in that fenced off area. Leaves you see down in
Oh,
there.
yeah.
That's grapevine.
Yeah, we
And
can
there's some
tell.
really old growth right there. So bet you trim this back, you're gonna get some really good grapevine.
Yes, I think so too. That's what that is. That's a grape arbor right there. Woohoo. So we are back at the bunk house, loading up into Max, ready for another adventure. So thank you so much for being with us on these explorations, and we'll see you again very soon for more adventures at the cabin.